meditation is using my mind in a creative, constructive, positive way, which is very different to what we've been maybe thinking or hearing, that it means eliminating all thoughts. Well, that's next to impossible, very, very difficult. But thoughts are the basis for communication. Not only are we using words, but more than using words, we're using our minds. If, for example, you were here, but your mind was elsewhere, it would be very noticeable. But at the moment, communication is flowing because your thoughts, your attention is focused here. And so thoughts are actually very, very valuable if I want to communicate with the divine. And so I'm not trying to stop my thoughts. I'm not saying that thoughts are useless and not important, or I want to make my mind go blank. But what I'm saying is that I'm going to use my thoughts to make connection with the Supreme. And I do that by coming to the consciousness of the soul. Instead of thinking of this and all my external physical needs, I'm taking a moment to remember I'm a soul. And my original state of being is peace. Now, in that state of peace, as my thoughts slow down, which they do, it's much easier to feel the presence of the divine. If my thoughts are racing, there's no space for me either to experience my own inner peace or to give space for God to touch me. And so, coming to the awareness of the self, coming to the awareness of my own natural state of peace, and feeling the connection with the divine by focusing my thoughts on God. And then magic begins to happen. God's love reaches you. You feel that unlimited compassion. You feel that acceptance that the divine has of you, no matter what's going on in your life. But there's that total love and acceptance. And so the journey of that discovery, of that beauty, of that relationship begins. Thinking is going on all the time. I'm thinking about the color of your hair, the color of your cardigan, whether it's hot or cold. I'm thinking, all these thoughts are coming in. And most times, many thoughts are flowing in many different directions. They say that the mind works on 11 different channels, and so all these different thoughts are going on. What I'm doing when I want to have a pure, elevated thought is I'm selective. And I say, can I have a thought of peace? Let me be peaceful myself. Then I say, is it possible for me to think about sharing peace with the world? And I hold that awareness of myself as a being of peace and connect with the divine. Because if I want to serve the world and share peace with the world, I'd be able to do this much, but connecting with the divine, it can become unlimited. And so my next thought is connecting with the divine. And I'm still holding the thought of sharing peace with the world. But it's like now it's actually God's peace is reaching out to the world. And I'm a beneficiary, but I also know that that peace is reaching places that I don't know about, and I don't need to know. And nobody else needs to know that I've been thinking about God. But God's peace reaches out to the world. So when we talk about pure thoughts and good feelings, the generation of that, the creation of that comes from an awareness that I hold, but then the outreach of that happens through the connection with the divine. Then it's able to reach the world. Having an elevated thought is one step, but becoming an elevated soul is something else, which means that here's a human being who's an ordinary mortal, like you and me and billions of others. But this human being has decided that they want to have such a deep connection with God that they truly are able to reflect those qualities, but also they have a mission, and their mission is to be able to serve the world. And so their thoughts, their breath, their time, their energy, their talents, over a period of time has been used not for their own selfish motive on any level, but it's truly been altruistic. And I'm not talking about theory. I have met people who have done this, not even one, so I won't even mention one name, but it's been a whole series of amazing people that I've had the good fortune of not just meeting, but having taken a lot of nurture and sustenance from them. So these souls have devoted their life to being in the awareness of God, but also of service to humanity. So they haven't cut themselves off from the world, but they have used their time to be able to serve others. And that has created that state of being in which I say they're very pure, elevated souls. And so yes, when I've been in their presence, my consciousness has shifted. It's not been effort on my part to think, okay, I'm not going to think in this very narrow, limited vision. I'm now going to think in a bigger way. But their presence allows me to make that transition very quickly because they're in that state of being. So even without them having to say a word, you can feel yourself being uplifted. From the source of love, the waves of love reach out. I absorb these within myself. And the waves of love reach out further and further afield. And the power of love surrounds the world. And the power of God's love heals. Souls have been carrying the burden of sorrow for a long time. And God's love removes the burden and heals the pain. The power of God's love melts the heart so that the heart can forgive and let go. And the soul feels liberation. Holding on to the things of the past has been a burden that I did not realize. And the power of God's love allows me to remove that burden and be able to forgive and become free. God's love touches souls and they continue on their journey, feeling the power of God's company. I hold peace and love, and my thoughts return to the physical dimension. But I carry this experience with me, and this experience impacts my thinking, my speaking, and my doing.